Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Maciej Wilovski, and today I'm delighted to report to you from Riga in Latvia, where the EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, is hosting its 2026 annual conference. Speaking with me today is Kaarel Ots, the head of Nasdaq Baltic Exchanges and the CEO of Nasdaq Tallinn in Estonia. Kaarel, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for inviting.
So I'd like to speak with you today about your home country, Estonia. Now, we see from the statistics and the metrics that Estonia is a country that ranks well above average when it comes to factors like tech innovation and business dynamism. Consistently, Estonia ranks among the top countries in Europe when it comes to tax competitiveness, ease of doing business. What are some of the policies that Estonia enacted that got you there?
Well, I think it's kind of inevitable that you have to punch above your weight as you are so small. I mean, we have 1.3 million people. I think it's what you have to do. I mean, we don't have hundreds of millions of people to choose the talent from. So I think that the bet since regaining independence in 1991 has been on open economy and really focusing on exports and really catching up as quickly as possible.
So Estonia has generated its fair share of iconic startups in recent years. You think about Skype, for instance, the video conferencing application. Before we had Zoom, of course, Skype was very popular. Bolt, of course, the ride-sharing app, which is very popular here in Central and Eastern Europe. And it's kind of like an Uber for the region, so to speak. What is it about Estonian culture in recent decades that enabled that entrepreneurship and kind of that growth in businesses?
Well, I think it's good to look at it this way. So what is driving life forward is luck and chance and the quality of the decisions. And add to it is the positive reference or positive references. And I think what you mentioned about Skype is definitely something that maybe accelerated this tech innovation and also investment into tech, because you really need somebody that others want to follow. If you would compare this, for example, to the investing world, it's pretty much the same. So you would have a visible IPO, for example, that is followed by others, that creates this positive buzz and the positive momentum, and then everybody wants to get part of it. And I think that we have been lucky in a sense that we have had ambitious entrepreneurs taking risks, have had courage, to do things differently, think about the world differently, and when this idea and ambition meets capital, then good things happen. Not always, but quite often it's the result of innovation and growth and progress. And I mean, while we are in Latvia, they have a unicorn printful as well. And when you go more south in Lithuania, we have Vinted and NordVPN. So everybody gets their share basically.
Yes, I believe here in Latvia, of course, even the presentation featuring the foreign minister that I was able to attend earlier, 4 per million inhabitants is the number of unicorns here in Latvia. So that's a number that even competes, if not exceeds, Silicon Valley itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good to compare if the population is small, but as I said, I mean, we have to. There's no other way.
And given, of course, the Baltic states, the situation that you're in, again, you mentioned small populations. Estonia, I believe, is under 2 million people. Would you say that provides more of an urge for your companies to expand abroad, seek foreign markets, compared to, for instance, a country like Poland, where I come from, which is a 38 million strong consumer market? There's more of a tendency for companies to remain where they are and to be content and comfortable with the domestic market.
Well, I mean, you're lucky in that sense, and also you have a large neighbor on your left. I mean, spot on. Of course, we have to export, of course, and this is why we opened the economy. this is both a good and a bad thing. Whenever something, not so good happens in the macro or geopolitically, then the open economy gets hit the most. The Estonian economy really gained from having great neighbors when we regained independence. So we had Finland, Sweden, and then it basically made this loop to Germany. And now, for the past few years, this chain has kind of been struggling, and compared to our southern Baltic country, Lithuania, that is your neighbor, that has clearly gained. And I don't remember exactly, but Polish economy has grown a lot faster, for example, than Swedish one over the years, so positively envious of this. And but then again, I mean, it's very difficult to draw a line. When does a country need to be export oriented? I think if you look at all Europe, we don't have a different way of thinking, but to be an export region. Whether it is Finland, Sweden, if you look at the largest companies in the region, none of them are just local. They all are global, and
yes,
the faster you are able to become a global company, I think the better for the whole society and economy, obviously.
Yes. So looking again at Estonia, we mentioned, of course, some of the factors that makes Estonia unique from a business perspective. And we're talking about a country that as recently as 40 years ago, even less, was still under the Soviet Union. So describe to us a little bit of how that process toward transforming into a capitalist economy looked like in Estonia in the early decades, particularly in the 1990s and even into the 2000s.
Well, I mean, I'm no economist. There are much smarter people than me to explain this. But I think that the key was to really get reforms quickly done, open the economy, basically remove corruption as quickly as possible, and privatize as much of the state-owned companies as possible. So we still, I think, have not maybe a long way to go, but there are still companies that I think could be privatized through the stock exchange. But I think we have done well. Basically, all these characteristics that are key also to exchange-listed companies, like transparency, good investor relations for countries, just good communication, attracting foreign investment, and really working on export partners. And add to it then this tech growth and innovation, solid education, and this is what you get. I think we have done well over the past 35 years, but definitely I think we shouldn't be satisfied with the status quo and really challenge it.
So if we look at also the Czech landscape, obviously one of the biggest, if not the biggest themes in recent years has been AI. What strides has Estonia taken when it comes to AI and adopting artificial intelligence?
I think nobody knows exactly. I think in the world, where does it take us? There is a special like a commission or a committee that is advising the government, made of tech entrepreneurs mainly, with a goal or aim to increase their efficiency and to unlock some hidden growths. But I don't think we are special in any way with this. I think everybody is trying to do this, whether you are an employee, student, entrepreneur, or a government. So I think it's relatively new. Basically, we can talk about a few years, and it's changing rapidly.
Could you see AI potentially mitigating some of the negative demographic impacts that we're seeing in the Baltic states and Central and Eastern Europe more broadly? Because the Baltic states in particular here, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia to a slightly lesser extent, are and will be dealing with significant demographic issues in the coming decades.
Well, that's a broad question, but certainly there is a hope that it could. There is a hope that it could solve all kinds of challenges, I don't know, fight disease and whatnot. Now, the flip side, I would say, is that when there is a threat, basically, to young people, especially for entry-level jobs, that the question is that if we have a demographic challenge, and now maybe in a generation or two there will be, I don't know, how many thousands of people who would need to pay for the pensions of the pensioners, then how does it work out when there is maybe a generation that is having difficulty in finding a job in the first place? So I think this is a very complex issue, and I really don't think that enough attention is paid on it, especially how it. Especially if the adoption of AI goes as quickly as it is planned then how does it and what kind of effect does it have on the employment culture, employment in general? And I don't think any country really has a plan for it.
And on a slightly other topic, and I know you're not an economist, but I'm going to transition a little bit to a macroeconomic point of view. Back in 2022, when, of course, the Russian invasion of Ukraine took place, the Baltic states were hit especially hard by the energy crisis, by soaring inflation. I believe Estonia even had a few years of negative growth starting in 2022. But looking at recent quarters and into 2026, it looks like Estonia and the other Baltic states are seeing a fairly robust economic expansion, somewhere in the range of 2 to 2.5% year over year. Would you say that the economy has been on an upward trajectory these past few quarters compared to the initial shock of what took place?
Well, one would certainly hope. I think we have had 3 years of stagnation. But the devil is in details. It's always important to see what the economic growth is made of, whether it is widespread across different industries. I don't think it is. But sometimes you don't need much more than a little bit of optimism to really accelerate. Yeah, I think we should be cautiously optimistic around this.
So one last question, since we're running a little bit short on time. Recently, under the 3 Cs initiative, there have been talks of expanding infrastructure projects like the Via Baltica to states like Poland. The Polish portion, as a matter of fact, was recently fully completed. How do you see that strengthening regional links between, say, the Baltic states and Poland, and perhaps further down to other Central European states?
Well, I mean, connections are vital. They're like oxygen in the bloodstream. I mean, if you look at the geography, I mean, we are kind of frontier. No pun intended. No pun intended with our neighbors, but connections with the Central Europe, whatnot, whether they are trains, planes, or automobiles, from the movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. I think what it would just needed is how you finance these, and whether you have really political will, and then also citizen support.
Kaarel Ots, the head of Nasdaq Baltic Exchanges and the CEO of Nasdaq Tallinn. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to World Talks. I've been your host, Maciej Wilovski. Please stay tuned for more coverage of the EBRD's 2026 Riga Forum here on TVP World.